A loss today against Gloucester. What are your thoughts after today's game?
It's tough really to put into words, Dan. I'm deeply disappointed with the sort of capitulation last half hour. Very disappointed the way that the goals went in. Certainly the first one. I think if you'd watched the first half, you'd say that there's not much in the game from two good sides. But the decision making just before half time was key, I think, to the whole game. We decided to try and play out with a minute to go, when just getting them turned and getting in at half time 0-0 would have been a good result. The second half might have been very different with the way they approached it as an opposition, but they had a lead, and the second goal is all important again. Another deflection, but there's no getting away from the fact that we were nowhere near good enough on the ball, nowhere near good enough without the ball. Players that have stood up in pre-season and wanted the ball every time the ball's available to them weren't getting on it today. It was probably it's certainly the worst managerial feeling I've had since I've started, not just at York anywhere. And obviously, we're all bitterly disappointed. We're all very down. The fans are bound to be, and I totally get that. I'm not going to shirk any responsibilities with that. I put a squad together that I still think is capable of getting out of this league. We've had a terrible start for one reason or another, but again, I'm not shirking responsibility on that either. And we'll have to stand up like men next week and put things right again.
Obviously, not to put words in your mouth, but it has been difficult with injuries recently, hasn't it?
It has, but it couldn't have gone much worse. I mean, especially with Sean coming off today, it couldn't have gone worse regarding injuries wise. With Sean, that is every senior defender now unavailable, but I still believe that the squad we had out there and the team we had out there is capable of so much more. But I just think decision making from a bit of naivety again. Certainly the first goal just contributed to a terrible day.
And just a word on next week then, Brackley coming up. Will it be a case of all guns blazing for that game? We have to be. We're hopefully going to have more bodies to choose from. But again, you'd hope 3 or 4 of them would be training next week. But if it's at the back end of next week, it's just a case of whether they'll be ready for Brackley or not. But it's an awful feeling, and I feel terribly, and that's why I speak to people after the game. I'm willing to have a conversation about anything. I'm not willing to stand there and take unnecessary personal abuse, but I'm certainly willing to stand there and talk to anybody that wants to listen about what my thoughts are. And it means the world to us. Football means the world to us, and it means the world to the players. But it's been a really tough start, and we have to bounce back. We have to bounce back like men next week. We know it's going to be hopefully a bigger crowd. We know that off the back of the two results, it's going to be difficult. But if we're going to achieve what we set out to achieve, we've got to step up to the plate.